Good morning from paradise, or in this case, Uttakleiv Beach in Lofoten. We're about half an hour from Ramberg, our base, and this is located next to Hoechlin Beach. So these two beach spots, which are separated by a tunnel, are absolutely fantastic for coastal photography. We've got an angry sea this morning, so we've come down. We've had a snowfall overnight, a fresh snowfall. There's beautiful snow everywhere. But this beach is most famous for the monster's eye. If you've never heard of it, it is a red rock in a rock pool full of water. Everybody shoots it if they can find it. You've got a beautiful backdrop in the background of a mountain I can probably not pronounce. And on arriving this morning, Daniel Corden was just leaving with his 10, 12 clients. So we've now got the beach to ourselves, which is a reasonable rarity. So I've come down. Now the first thing I noticed, although the tide is out, it is coming in, probably about another 45 minutes, maybe an hour, it will be up to this rock pool, which is elevated. Now, what you'll find with this rock pool is that this rock underneath it's quite a deep rock pool. And what you find is in this time of the year when the tide comes in as well, and you get snow melt coming down off the 2-3 foot cliffs behind me, is that the rock pool fills up, and so it's actually quite difficult to see the rock. So I have a very innovative way of reducing the amount of water in the rock pool so that the rock actually just sits underneath the water, so it's much more visible. And that innovative tool is a spade. So I'm here for about 10 minutes emptying the water from one rock pool into the one on the left hand side. Crazy. Don't ask me the things we do to get the shot. But now I'm going to be able to get the shot with the rock so much more visible. And it's kind of a weird place, is this, because it's red all around these couple of rock pools here, and it's not that common anywhere else. It's like a deep blood red as well. So needless to say, with the rock in the rock pool, with this sort of blood red surround and the blood red rock, it kind of does look like, you know, an eye, certainly after the morning after a very, very late night. So I've set the camera up this morning. I'm on a 16-35, shooting at about 19mm, 100 ISO, f/16 and an 1/8 of a second. Now I'm using a polarizer to darken this water so that the eye can project and so that you can see it a little easier. Otherwise you get a white light reflected on the top of the water, and so therefore the rock kind of is a little bit concealed at that point. And also what happens is, because there is water on the rocks around, on the platform around, by using a polarizer it takes the sheen off, so you really get to see all the colours and the texture underneath that white reflected light. Also I've got a 3-stop hard graduated filter to take down the detail in the sky because it's very, very bright. So by darkening the sky you're going to lighten the foreground, so you've got a nice sort of, as best you can, a nice balance of light between your foreground, which is very dark, and your sky, which is very, very light. I've opted for f/16 because I'm right on top of the rock pool here. So I'll fire off a few shots, because in the background with the angry waves you may find that there's one shot that has a lovely ripper, a lovely curl of water coming through that actually might just add a little bit extra to the image. So I'll probably take a dozen images, a quick succession, and then pick the best one, or the one that I perhaps prefer the most. So job done. I'll show you the image. Here it is now. Another winner. Right, I'm back. But I've moved to Hoechlin Beach, which is the beach before you drive through the tunnel to Uttakleiv. They're both two separate beaches. They're both very, very different in characters. This one, beautiful sandy beach. You got some gorgeous backdrop, two mountain sections on either side. You've got the main one on the right hand side, which drops down, and then you got quite a large rock just offshore. And then on the left hand side, you've got what I call the roller coaster peaks, where it comes up and then sort of swooshes like a Big Dipper. And what I've done essentially is I've come down and I found this lovely rock in the water here. It's quite a long rock, and the water's just coming over it beautifully. So I've placed the rock smack bang in between the two peaks at the backdrop. I do have some would say an OCD element to my symmetry. But you know, symmetry works. It's very easy on the eye, it's very balanced. And I've always said if there's a hole to fill, a rock will do the job. So I've got set up here on the beach. It's quite a simple composition really. And we'll set up the shot here at f10. That's all that I need. And I'm going to shoot for around about 1 second. So ISO 400. Now I do have a polarizer on, and I also have a 6-dot filter to help slow down the water. But the light is changing so much. You know, light is coming and it's going. It's shining up the mountains in the distance. You're constantly playing around with exposures, with your filters. So the final shot could be anything. Could be a whole array of different settings. But I'll show you the shot in a couple of minutes once I've taken it. So yeah, basically what I'm waiting for is the water to come in, surround the tripod, and on its way out then get your shot. So ideally these sort of 1 second, you know, sort of short exposure shots with the water and those lovely white lines, they work really, really well when the water's going back out, because quite a lot of the foam is left on the beach and you get a slightly more, I would say, a purer, whiter line than when it's on its way in. But you've got to try these things. You never quite know. Just keep shooting and then have a look. Now I don't tend to take a lot of shots when I go out and about, but I have to say with these, you know, you have to take 50. You're not going to, you've got no control over where the water lands and how it sits. I wish I did. I'd be called Moses instead of Melvin. But saying that, you know, you've got to shoot 50 and pick 1 or 2 of your favourites as well. And that's really all you can do. You know, I'm looking for patterns and lines. I'm also looking for angle of direction. So I am looking slightly out to sea, but slightly offset to the right hand side, so that my lines, if you will, of travel are going to be slightly more diagonal than simply in and out towards me and away from me. So yeah, I think it'll work. The skies are fantastic. We've got this beautiful blue strip that sits just above the peak. So the peak of the rock in the background sits just within it. It's absolutely stunning. We had some fantastic light about 10-15 minutes ago, but the clouds are rolling in and they look pretty fierce. You know, they look like they contain a lot of snow. And it did snow a little bit when we were coming here, so to be fair, well, Uttakleiv Beach. So at any time it could just dump down a shed load of snow. One of the things I do love about this beach is the colour of the water. It's that lovely sort of turquoise, well, not even turquoise, it's a sort of a gorgeous jade green. I mean, trying to capture it in camera and do it justice is another thing, but the colour of the water. And if you mix it with the very muted tones of the sand and the lovely white surf that's coming in, mix it with a great sky, a couple of mountains. I mean, you just can't go wrong, can you really, to be honest with you? But anyway, let's see how it looks. I'll fire a couple of images at you now, and I'll see you at the next location. Good morning. My 6th and final day in Lofoten. Can you believe it? Well, I'm sure you can. I can't. The mark of a good place is that you don't want to leave and you feel as though you've got unfinished business. And Lofoten in the winter, absolutely. You know, I could spend a month here. I mean, there's so much to discover. More than just Hamnoy Bridge, Reina, Sacresoy. You know, there's so much more. You can go to these little outline sort of little areas, little towns, harbours, villages. Absolutely fantastic, and I've loved every minute of it. We've had a couple of opportunities that have slipped me by this week. Yesterday was incredibly windy, so no video in yesterday, but today it's calm, and I'm at a place called Nusfjord, N-U-S-F-J-O-R-D. What a place! Now it's tucked away probably 20 minutes from Letnes, about half an hour from Ramberg, if that. Well, probably not even that. We tried to get here yesterday. There was an avalanche that cut the road off, so we couldn't get here. Makes you worried, doesn't it? That you're driving along and suddenly, you know, you could get wiped out by an avalanche. I mean, welcome to Norway. But I survived and I'm still here. Lucky for you lot. So, Nusfjord, what a place. Now, it's beautiful. It's a little harbour village, that sort of coastal obviously, that's sort of nestled at the end of a long road. And when we arrived here and we're driving through very, very tight, I won't even call them streets, the little roads that sort of intertwine from all the huts, and I'll sort of see if you can see any down there. There you go. A much better view than me. So here we've got this long section here is the harbour where the big boat comes in, presumably with lots and lots of fish, and the little cabins all around. And unusually, you've got red and yellow cabins. Normally, these little towns either have red or they have yellow, by and large. And apparently, I've been told from a local Norwegian that the colour of your property is in relation to your wealth, or certainly was. Red being, I think, the cheapest way to paint your house, mixed with fish blood. So if I'm wrong, somebody correct me, and I'll correct him. White being the most expensive. So if you see a white house, they've got a few pennies, or a few kronens, as they have over here. So anyway, or however you pronounce it. What I decided to do, I've shot a little bit down on the harbour edge. So there are a couple of shots to get there. I've got a panorama, hopefully it'll pan out, no pun intended. But I've decided to come up top and get some elevation and look down over the snow-filled town and get a panorama. So my choice of equipment, because some of you will ask, I'm sure, the Benro TMA48CXL. It's catchy, I know. I'll put all these down in a link below anyway, as I normally do. So this extends to about 6.5 foot. And people ask me again, why do I have such a tall tripod? For moments like this, when you've got snow that's 2-3 foot deep, and you need to anchor the tripod in, you know, firmly, so you're still going to want a couple of feet above it to shoot from. So great tripod. You know, the cold affects it like pretty much most tripods. Just try and keep it warm and you'll be absolutely fine. I've got the Benro, I'll have to read it out. It's an LBA2, leveling base. I don't know what the A stands for. I don't even know what the 2 stands for. But it's a leveling base, and it's a cup. It's almost like a cup and ball, if you will. And regardless of how you set your tripod up, you know, you could have your tripod a little bit skew with, a little bit off center, and therefore not absolutely vertical. So this thing, you loosen the twist knob on the side, and you can level it. And once that's level, your camera, as it pans around, will stay level. Genius, I know. So about 110 pounds. It does add a little bit of weight, but you know, what can you do? On top of that, I have a Benro's spacer. There is a model number on it, 20 quid. Get it from Wex, Park Cameras, Speed Graphic, I think. But anyway, fantastic. The reason for using a spacer, and it's a bit of a sexy one, it looks like a dumbbell. So the idea is that it elevates the camera away from the wide base, so that when you rotate your camera to have your camera face the stars, the sky, the knobs on the geared head do not touch the base plate of the tripod. So collectively I have the tripod, I have spikes on the tripod, 4.7 inch, Why the 0.7? I have no idea. So anyway, I'll get a shot of probably about 8 shots here, 8 or 9 shots. Panorama. I'm going to overlap them 30% to give Photoshop CC a little bit of meat on the bone in order to align them, you know, as well as you can. So my settings, because you'll be asking, I am sure. Okay, F11. Where am I? Here we go. Hello again. F11. Just give me enough depth of field. I mean, there's plenty down there. You know, I'm shooting a reasonable distance away. F8 would probably do, but I'll stay safe with 11. A 30th of a second, 100 ISO, and about 1 stop overexposed. When shooting snow, your metering will tend to underexpose your images, and they look grey. Snow looks grey, so you've got to go about 2/3 to 1 stop overexposed. Keep the whiteness in the snow. Your trick then is to try and retain the texture in the snow when you're editing, but well, that's another day. So I'll get about 8 or 9 shots. I think it'll look all right. So anyway, before I move on to the next location, I'll get this shot, put a couple of images together, show them now, and hope you enjoy them, and I'll see you at the next location. Toodaloo. We've come to Hoechlin Beach. We did go to Mydal, however you pronounce it, but to be honest, we got a couple of shots that were very nice, but this is the place where it all kicks off at sunset. The 2 sets of mountains in the backdrop, come down, 10-minute walk from the car park to this gorgeous array of rocks that lead diagonally through the frame. Oh, water is pouring over them. The tide is perfect height for this tide to come over the rocks and to create 2-second short exposure shots, bit of motion in the ocean, gorgeous light kicking on, absolutely stunning. Now I have already got a couple of shots in the bag that I will be showing you. The sky is actually colouring up beautifully, but I think the light is now lost on the mountains because the sun is setting. So the sun will set behind the horizon as it has behind the mountain, the wind's picking up, and the sky will sort of explode with colour. Oh, we're hoping. But for light on the mountain, an image 20 minutes ago was perfect. And because these sunsets, you know, they don't switch off like they do in the UK real quick. You know, it's sort of gradual over a sort of an hour, hour and a half. It's wonderful. This low light in the winter, it just makes everything so much softer and less hurried. You know, you can just take your time, come down, watch the different stages of the sunset just evolve, and oh, music to my ears and to my camera. So I've come down, I've set up in a landscape mode on a 1635. Anyway, it was just a quick video just to end my week in Lofoten as the water's lapping around me. I'm not at all nervous. And the water is just absolutely stunning. It's just the way it's sort of bellowing over this gorgeous rock here. Let's see if I can get a shot. Not bad. I'll keep working at it. So anyway, what a week. What a week in Iceland. That was last week. Sometimes I don't even know where I am in the planet. Anyway, what a week in Lofoten. Absolutely stunning. The weather has been ethereal, it's been atmospheric, it's been challenging. We've had snowstorms, you know, we've had high winds, although that's not been too bad. But we haven't had a lot of colour. So I'm hoping tonight we're going to get a little bit of colour. That's what I'm after. So thanks for watching the videos. If you've got to the end, gold star to you. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, please leave a comment underneath. If you haven't, please don't leave a comment underneath. And thanks for joining me. So until next time, keep smiling, keep shooting, and thanks for coming along with me. See you next time. Bye bye for now.